Hello friends, hope you're all fine and doing very well. So today we are gonna learn about opacity in CSS, and we will also do some work with background images, and we make the images transparent and much more. We use hover properties, hover classes with opacity property. So actually what is opacity? Opacity is a property that is used that actually you can think it as transparency of an element. So with opacity property you can transparent any element, whether it is a text, whether it is a box, div, image, anything you can make transparent with opacity property. And but I'm not a big fan of opacity property because it causes some trouble with text when you when you set opacity to the div. Actually those opacity also apply on the children elements of your div, so that causes some trouble and you have to use positions there. So I'm not a big fan of opacity, but we have sometimes we have to use the opacity property. So I'm making this tutorial for you that you can understand the opacity property clearly. So opacity property can take value from 0.0 to 1.0, that you can that you can set 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. These are all the you can't set like 300, 400. You have to set in points like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 up to 1, and 1 is the highest opacity. That means 1 is 100%. So this is my opacity in CSS folder, and I have only one image here. And another thing that I'm going to make do some initial steps. I'm going to open this file, this folder in VS Code editor, and as you can see, this is my VS Code editor. Here I'm going to make two actually files. That the first one is index.html, and then second one is style.css. So now I'm going to make a boilerplate here for my HTML page, and I'm going to link a CSS file here. Now the next thing what can I do is I'm going to make a image tag here and then put an image here. Okay, flower. Okay, now I'm going to open this file in my web browser. Now you can see this is a simple image, and let me zoom it for you. So this is a simple image. Now I'm going to my CSS file and target this image, and then I am going to set the opacity here of 0.5. that means 50%. So it is 50%. Now you can see the opacity is decreasing, it is becoming transparent. Once you decrease it to 0.3, it will become more transparent. So here you understood that the lower the value, the more it becomes transparent. So when I use 0.5, that means it is more transparent than 0.7. If I use 0.5 here, so it is more transparent than 0.7. okay, so this is opacity property. You can use opacity property with hover states, like if I make use a class here of hover, so looks like this, and then if I refresh it, you can see it is its opacity is 100%, but once I hover on this, you can see this opacity is decreasing to 0.7. 0.7 maybe you can say it as 70% opacity. So this is the power of opacity. And other thing that you can do, you can use opacity property on background images. Not on background images, you can set on different divs. So how we can do this? So let me make some simple markup here. So this is first of all, I'm going to make a simple background to not background, GROUND. okay, then I'm going to use a box here. Inside a box I'm going to put a paragraph, and I'm going to name it this paragraph lorem 10, enter. So it something looks like this. Then I'm going to copy this background and going to style.css file, and then I'm going to set the background image here of URL, and then I'm going to give the location of the image. You can see the background image is applied here. And one more thing, I want to set its height 100 pixel, and now I'm going to style my box here. I want to set box with simple background color of white. Once you refresh it, you can see the background is in white. Okay, I want to move the this one with padding, maybe padding 10 pixel. Refresh it. Okay, I cannot set a padding here, maybe margin. Why I'm working in this way? Because I am actually telling you that there is a difference between margin and padding. Margin is the outer side of the container, of the div, of the element, and padding is inner side. So I'm putting margin from here and here, and then I'm going to style the paragraph a little bit. So dot box p, little bit padding 10 pixel, margin 10 pixel, and font weight set it to 700, so it will become darker. It looks like this. And now if you want to change this background color to transparent, what can you do? Actually, it's simple. You can set the opacity property here and set it to 0.5 maybe. Once you refresh it, you can see it becomes transparent, but as you can see, the text is also becoming transparent. So this is the problem with opacity. If you can say that I can set opacity here also to 1, so it won't work. Okay, so the parent opacity will always apply. So what can I do with this thing? How can I fix this bug? So here we don't use opacity here, but we will use opacity in our background color using RGBA. So I'm going to use the RGBA here. This is the RGB, and then I put a and then comma here, and then I can set 0.3 or 0.5 with anything else. Once you refresh it, now you can see the text is not transparent, but the box is transparent. I can set it to 0.7. Now you can see the box is transparent, but the text is not transparent. So this is the real power of opacity, that you can set opacity here. This is known as alpha. The R stands for red, G stands for green, B stands for blue, RGB colors actually, and A stands for alpha. Another you can say A stands for opacity. So we are giving opacity here of our background color. So this is the real power. We can set opacity using on background colors. You can set opacity on any box, whether it is a div, container, image, anything, any element. You can set opacity here. So this is a real power of opacity. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you very much. Thanks for learning here, and hope you are waiting for the next tutorial. Allah Hafiz.